Imagine unpeeling banana after banana, day after day, until you've eaten 100 in just a single month. For most of us, that sounds like a punishment, a sticky, yellow prison sentence. But for a small group of athletes and extreme dieters, this wasn't madness. It was a mission. They believed bananas weren't just fruit. They were fuel, medicine, and in some cases, salvation. The idea came from the raw vegan and fruitarian movements that rose in popularity in the early 2000s. The concept was simple but radical. Eat only raw fruits and vegetables, sometimes focusing on a single fruit for days or weeks at a time. Among the most famous challenges was the Banana Island diet, where people lived almost entirely on bananas. It wasn't about hating other foods. It was about testing discipline, resetting, digestion, and supposedly unlocking peak athletic performance. One athlete who jumped into this experiment found himself stacking bananas like medals, racing against his own willpower. He wanted to see if this extreme diet would make him faster, leaner, and more explosive. What followed wasn't just about bananas. It was about pushing the body to its limits, peeling back the myths, and finding out what happens when obsession meets nutrition. The first days were surprisingly easy. Bananas are sweet, filling, and portable. They contain potassium, magnesium, fiber, vitamin C, and even a small dose of protein. For breakfast, lunch, and dinner, he peeled his way through bunches, blending some into smoothies, freezing others for nice cream, and eating most straight from the skin. But after 3 days, the monotony hit like a wall. The texture, the taste, even the smell, it all became overwhelming. He craved crunch, salt, fat, anything but yellow mush. Still, he pushed on. Like Andrew Taylor with his potato diet, this athlete wasn't just testing his stomach. He was testing his mind. And the body responded in strange ways. Energy spiked. His digestion became regular, almost clockwork. He felt lighter, cleaner, sharper. Bananas, after all, are rich in carbohydrates and natural sugars, giving him quick-burning fuel for workouts. But they're low in fat, low in protein, and lacking key vitamins like B12. His muscles held up for now, but whispers of weakness lurked in the background. Could bananas really sustain high-level athletic training for a month? Or was he setting himself up for a crash? The only way to find out was to keep peeling. By the end of the first week, he had already eaten more bananas than most people do in a year. Friends teased him, calling him the monkey or the gorilla. But he leaned into the jokes. Gorillas, after all, are strong, and they eat plants. Each day became a rhythm. Peel, eat, train, repeat. He tracked his workouts, noting changes in stamina and recovery. Strangely, he felt faster. His endurance improved, likely thanks to the endless stream of glycogen his body drew from bananas. But the cracks were starting to show. Protein deficiency became a concern. Muscle soreness lingered longer after workouts. Cravings grew sharper, especially for salty and fatty foods. He dreamed of pizza, of steak, even of plain bread. But in the mornings, the bananas were always there, stacked in neat bunches, like golden trophies. He reminded himself this was a challenge, not a prison. He wasn't just eating fruit. He was experimenting with discipline. He was testing whether the human body could thrive on one of nature's simplest foods, or whether variety really was the spice of life. By the second week, his body had clearly changed. The weight on the scale dropped, not dramatically, but noticeably. His stomach felt flat, his face leaner. The natural sugars kept his energy steady, but there were hidden costs. He started to feel the lack of fats in his skin, which became drier. His nails felt brittle. His workouts, once boosted by the quick carbs, began to feel shallow. He had fuel, yes, but no building blocks. Muscles recover on protein. Hormones depend on fats. And bananas, no matter how magical, couldn't provide those. Still, he pushed forward, determined to see the experiment through. Online, others who had tried the Banana Island diet shared similar tales. Mental clarity, rapid weight loss, but also headaches, fatigue, and eventually burnout. Some swore by the reset, calling it life-changing. Others called it reckless. For him, it was both. A thrill to test the edge, but a creeping realization that no single food, not even one as versatile as the banana, could carry the full weight of a human life. As the month dragged toward its end, the bananas became symbols of both victory and struggle. He had proven his discipline, silencing skeptics who said he would quit within days. He logged over 100 bananas in less than 30 days, often more than a dozen in one day. His energy levels remained decent, his endurance steady, but his strength waned. The athlete inside him knew performance wasn't just about energy, it was about balance, recovery, long-term health, and bananas, for all their nutrients, couldn't provide it all. On day 30, he peeled his final banana with a mix of relief and pride. He hadn't broken down. He hadn't failed. But he was ready, more than ready, to taste something else. The first bite of a simple, savory meal felt like the greatest luxury in the world. He realized then that the challenge wasn't really about bananas. It was about proving he could set an absurd, almost impossible goal and finish it. Looking back, the month of bananas wasn't a miracle diet, and it wasn't a disaster. It was a lesson. Bananas alone can't build a champion. They can't supply the fats, proteins, and vitamins that athletes need long term. But for 1 month, they gave him energy, focus, and a strange kind of clarity. More importantly, they gave him proof of his own discipline in a world obsessed with quick fixes and fad diets. His banana experiment was a reminder. Extreme challenges can teach us about ourselves, but they're not solutions. The athlete didn't walk away a superhuman, but he walked away transformed. Not by the fruit, but by the willpower it took to endure it. And maybe that's the real point of these extreme health experiments. It's not about finding the perfect food. It's about discovering what happens when you strip life down to its simplest form and stare at your own limits, one bite at a time. Bananas were his tool, his hammer, his mirror. And when he finally put them down, he carried forward the truth that sometimes the hardest part of change isn't the food on your plate. It's the story you tell yourself about what you can and can't do.